come on up here on his own. Please put your hands together for Ray Park. I'm looking for a mic for Q&A. If you do have some questions for Ray, I do want to make sure that we get those in. If you do have those ready, come up to the center panel right here. We don't have a microphone for you, so be ready to project your voice to the back row. So, Ray, we'll go ahead and get started. Tell me first about your martial arts training, because that's really the key to getting into the Phantom Menace, was your martial arts training and being able to take makeup without having your face break out, I would imagine. So tell me a little bit about your martial arts training before we got into that.
I've been studying martial arts since I was 7. I got into film because of my dad, and he loved Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, and he's a big kid himself, so that sort of love for sci-fi, comic books and cartoons and action movies was passed down to me. And there we go. So I used to have wireless mics on me as well.
Right on.
But and so I got into martial arts because I wanted to be like the guys in movies. I thought the guys in movies, and they still are, they were like these superhuman, super beings of guys who could fly through trees and run up walls and do somersaults and disappear and do mind tricks, and I just wanted to be like those guys, and so I went to martial arts because of that. And then when I got to about 14, 15, I realised I'm going to be an actor. That's what I want to do. I want to get into films. Don't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to do it somehow, and I knew it was going to be because of the martial arts training. And so I just tried to perfect everything that I did for competition, hoping that Jackie Chan or Jet Li would discover me one day and say, hey, I want you to be the bad guy in my movie so I can beat you up. And as it's always the case, like Richard Norton and some other, Western martial artists, they have the chance to work with Jackie. But it went the other way, and I'm not complaining because I got in Star Wars, and I think at the time I was this crazy 21-year-old that no one had seen run up walls and bouncing off my head, and I didn't need stunt pads, or I didn't need wire work, I didn't need tram pads. Because I grew up believing that these guys didn't need special effects, they were the special effects. So I remember Jackie Chan saying, well, in my movies I am the special effects. So I grew up believing in that. I tried to entertain people with my body and what I could do physically. And I was a big fan of Charlie Chaplin as well. And growing up in Scotland at the time, we only had black and white movies, and a lot of the movies had no sound. So I grew up very visually watching things, and wasn't really paying attention to dialogue. It was more a case of what someone can do with their body and express themselves.
Tell me about when your agent calls you and says, we got this call in from Lucasfilm. They're getting ready to do episode 1 and they want you to be the chief bad guy. What's going through your brain when you're getting that phone call?
Well, I wasn't really an actor then. I didn't have an agent. I was trying to break into acting. Like, I did a movie called Mortal Kombat, and I ended up playing like one of the Barrackers and one of the Reptiles, and doubling for James Remar. I'm playing Raiden. And I basically learned everything about movie making on that show, but I realised I didn't want to be a stuntman, because I was doubling for James, and I always had to cover my face, had to do a jumping kick in the air and not show it off. And I was sick of hiding my face. I said, I don't want to double someone else, and I want to be able to do this myself. But I knew getting into the stunt way would be a way of getting into acting, and it did. But I really got into Star Wars because of the stunt coordinator, Nick Gillard. He had heard about me because of what I did on Mortal Kombat, and his friend, Sean McKay, said, there's this crazy young kid, you've got to see him, and so Nick called me in, and of course I was really excited to be like, I could get a job at Star Wars, this is my chance. And then he said, look, I really like you, everyone's talking well about you, come and meet Rick McCallum, the producer, come and meet George Lucas. And I'm like, wow, he's introducing me to everyone, I must be in there. So I said, do you want me to audition? He goes, no, I like it, just come down. I want you to just work with us for a week and see how we get on. And then Robin Guram, the casting director, asked me to go downstairs and do an audition. And it wasn't the best audition, because at the time I had this Fuji's sort of skit in my head. Well, what's this? Do you think it's a Chinese takeaway? So when she asked me to say, hey, what do you think you're doing? Who are those Jedis? I kept on thinking, what's this? We're the Jedis. You know? So I was getting angry with myself for doing that, because I said, why can't I get something? And I was nervous as well, because I wanted the job, and you know. So she kept on going, what's this? And it's funny, because my brother and I were just goofing off that morning, doing different voices, like, what do you think you're going training? And I looked at her really angry, but I just looked, and she said, that's it, now do the lines and do the look. And then that's where the Darth Maul started from. And then I worked with Nick, and I did a tape. They dressed me up as Darth Maul. We showed a fight that we had. We were hoping that George would approve and say, this is the style of fighting we want to use in the movie. And that was my audition tape as well. So, you know, I was very fortunate, very lucky that, you know, I had the producer behind me, I had the stunt team behind me, and they were like, raise the guy to do this, no one else can do this. And luckily I had one of those faces that, you know, was good enough to cover up, and I didn't have a lot of facial hair. You know, like, so I didn't have to shave every day. I was still a little boy, so I had bum fluff. And the makeup didn't run, and my nose was big enough to keep the black and the red on there. And then George saw the tape, and then that's when I got the call from Rick McCallum. And I was on my way to a martial arts demonstration with the Great Britain Wushu team. And Rick said, hey Ray, this is the call you've been waiting for. He said, what are you doing right now? I said, I'm driving. He said, I would pull over if I was you. And the pre-game sort of talk I got from Rick McCallum was pretty pumped up. He was, you know, basically he said, I want you to be the nastiest person you can be, scared as little children. I want you to scare everyone. I want you to be a badass. And I said, I've got it. And I said, so have I got a job? He said, yeah, you've got it. And I was like, yeah, woo! You know, pulled out the first gear, wheel spinning my car, you know. It took me about 4 minutes to get up to 60 miles an hour. Got to the demonstration, and you know, for someone who's taken a rock star, I felt like I had 100 rock stars, and I was like, you know, I wanted to rip off my shirt and beat my chest, and I was doing breakdancing and running up walls, and my teammates were like, come on, Ray, it's our turn to demonstrate. And I'm like, whoa! And that was the first time in my life that I didn't feel tired doing a martial art demonstration. Like I wanted to go out and perform, because I had a secret that no one else knew about, you know, and I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. And it was good to, I told my mum and dad, of course, and of course my mum and dad told my family, and then the whole of Scotland knew.